Oh, I think we're live now. All right. Good morning. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, June 3rd. This is our live Q&A call for this week. My name's Alex. I'm your host. I'm a barbershop owner. What's up, David? Welcome. Welcome to the Q&A. If you guys have any questions, you can feel free to type them in the chat. What's up, Nino the barber? Welcome to the Q&A. I'm here with you guys answering any questions you guys might have for related to barbering, owning a barbershop. I'm here for you for the next 30 minutes or so. So, wow, my computer is being really slow. So, if there's a lag, I apologize. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need to update it. So, how was your guys' May? We're in June now. So, we're still getting our numbers updated, but May was actually a really good month for us. We had another record month. So, we had set a record for sales, for new clients, for memberships, like everything. I think it was like a month or two ago. Yeah, so like February or March. And then we broke that record again last month. So that was really cool. Um, Thanks to my team, of course. I couldn't have done it without them. And hopefully my video is not frozen, but let's just keep going. If you guys can hear me, can you guys let me know in the comments? I don't know if I'm just talking to myself or not. If I could just restart the stream if that's the case. Let me know if you can hear me because I can't see who's on the live. I can only see the comments. So yeah, if you could let me know, that would be helpful. But yeah, anyways, we're in June, so May was a pretty good month for us, and I think that we are going into the summer strong. Thanks, David. I appreciate it. Um, Yeah, I'm glad you guys can hear me. So if there's anybody watching on Instagram, if you guys could let me know if you guys can hear me, that would also be great. Facebook sounds like they can hear me. Do you guys have any questions? Let me know. If not, I'll just start going through, how our month was last month in May, some of the challenges that we had, some of the things I learned, what we're going to be focusing on this month. So I'll just wait for a second. I'm going to pin something on in the chat here so that anybody that's joining can see what's going on. I wonder if did you guys see that I think it was Ohio is trying to get rid of barber licenses and cosmetology licenses. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Um, we'll see, but I kind of have been warning you guys about this for a long time, and it's one of those things that I don't even know if it's worth mentioning because it's not like there's anything we can do about it as far as like whether it passes or not. I mean, you can protest, but ultimately, like the people that pass these laws can really do whatever they want. I mean, they might get voted out of office, but whether the law passes or not, it's kind of completely out of our hands. The only thing that we can do about it is try to prepare our barbershops and our businesses for that. So it was Ohio that happened, David. So I think that I shared it in my story on Instagram the other day. It's like 2 or 3 days ago, but I saw that Ohio was trying to pass basically saying that you don't need to have a license to cut hair. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think ultimately, though, whether it's good or not for the industry, we'll have to see. But ultimately, um, we'll see if it ends up being, well, there's nothing we can do about it, but we'll see if it ends up being good. I actually think that it could end up being a lot of good can come from that, you know, because anybody can just come into the industry now, right? Like it is going to make it way more competitive, but when businesses compete, the clients benefit from that. So we'll see because it just forces you to level up, right? If there's no competition, then there's no reason to get better, right? But if you're competing with other businesses that are just as smart or smarter, kind of forces you to level up as a business, right? Because you have to be able to compete with the people that are kicking your ass, you know? So yeah, they tried here in Arizona about 4 or 5 months ago, didn't go through. I believe it. And you know what? They're probably going to try it again, you know, and I think they're going to keep trying until it passes, right? This is one of those things that barbers and hairstylists may not agree with whether or not, you know, you should have a license, but it seems like the people in power in virtually every state are pushing it to make it happen, where you don't have to be a licensed professional to start to cut hair, to do hair, right? And I know a lot of barbershop owners and hairstylists and salon owners and barbers probably don't want that to happen. But again, there's not much we can do about it. The only thing that we can do is step your game up, right? Because there's going to be more people entering the industry if these things start to pass, and you're going to be left behind, right? Somebody that used to be a, you know, a lawyer or something, you know, when they get replaced by AI, like good luck trying to compete with them, you know? Lawyers are fucking smart, you know? People that used to be like all these jobs that get replaced by, you know, AI in the next few years, those people are going to need something to do, right? They're going to need to make some money. So I think that this is just my opinion. I have nothing to back it up. But those people are going to have to do something. They're going to have to learn a skill, right? So I think you're going to see more people going into the trades. So now is actually a great time, I think, to be a barber because, you know, you have an advantage over those people that are going to be joining our industry in the next few years. And you have, you know, a lot of them could be joining with no training too, because if you don't have to have a license, that means you didn't have to go to school. Um, so they're going to take a little bit longer to get ramped up, right? But I think it can end up be a good thing. The thing where I think like where I'm going to be having to focus on if this something like this happens in Florida is our training has to be on point, right? Like because you got to be able to take somebody who's never cut hair before and make them into a great barber. And I think that that's going to be hard. You know, it's hard when somebody has went to school for a year and you're trying to train them to be a great barber. So these are going to be people that are coming into the industry with never even, sometimes never even touched a clipper, and you're going to teach them how to cut hair. So, but I think that the businesses that can do that are going to have a huge advantage. The ones that can take somebody who's never cut hair before and turn them into a great barber. Ultimately, I think that's where I'm going to be shifting my focus to as a barbershop owner because I don't think that as a barbershop owner, you should be limited to hiring experienced barbers. You know, I think that it's a disadvantage because eventually you run out of barbers, right? So we're going to start shifting our focus over the next few years, pouring a lot more into training, having like dedicated trainers, because that's what people that are fresh out of barber school need. They need somebody like to hold their hand, fix basically every haircut they do, and then do that for like 6 months, right? Before they start getting good. And I think that'll give us a huge advantage, right? Because if we can take somebody who's fresh out of barber school or even off the street, if licenses go away, put them through our training and make them great, that's a huge advantage versus the barbershop owners and barbershops that are they don't know how to train people, so they're limited to hiring people that already know how to cut hair, right? So, going to be tough to compete with a business, I think, that can take a bad barber or just an inexperienced barber and turn them into a great barber. So that's actually what I'm focusing on over the next few years, but and this year, just optimizing, dialing in our business because, you know, we got our sights set on our next location, and but I think it would be irresponsible to open any more locations before really getting the model dialed in, like maximum, like everything is running at peak efficiency. You know, we're fully booked, we're fully staffed. There's no possible way we can grow this business anymore other than opening a new location, right? So that's what I'm focusing on. That's what we're testing these little tweaks now to our business. And I'm not planning on testing anything major. Like one of the things that we're testing this month is surge pricing. So when we get busy, we start charging more. pretty simple, right? I've been wanting to test this for a really long time. Well, long meaning like a few months that I've known about this feature in our software. So we just turned it on after hours on Sunday or Saturday. So on June 1st, so 3 days ago, surge pricing became active in our software. So now, if we get more than 80% booked, 80% or higher, then it automatically adds 10% to the price if you're booking online. So I think that's really cool because it's basically supply and demand, but it's automated too. So it's kind of a way of doing a price increase without like punishing everybody, right? It's only like if we're busy, and if you're not cool with that, okay, come in on a different time, you know? So, we're testing that this month. Another thing I want to test is letting clients pay through their phone, like while they're waiting, right? Because sometimes people are waiting for like 10, 20, 30 minutes even. And so what if we could just send them a text so that they can pay for their haircut? That way, when they're done, they can just leave, right? Um, you know, things like that, like these little tweaks that aren't going to make a massive difference. Another thing that I'm testing is, which actually this is probably one I'm most excited about, is how can we use the visual real estate in the shop to influence client behavior? So yeah, that's been fun testing that. So we're being like very intentional now of what we put on the TV, what we put on the walls, what we put on the mirrors, what we put on in the bathroom, even what's in the waiting area, because we realize we can start to influence client behavior by being mindful of those things. So I would encourage you guys too to start experimenting with that. Like, what can I put in front of the clients while they're getting their haircut that might influence their behavior? And it doesn't have to be like you're trying to get them to buy something, but like, like in our case last month, we were really doing a big membership push. And I'm really proud of my team. We ended up signing up 129 new members. So now we're at like over 600 and almost we're closing in on 700 members. So these are people that are paying every single month for their services. And we added just 129 last month, just last month. Our average is like 40. So we really crushed it last month. But one of the things that I did in the second half of the month was I ordered some flyers that have all the benefits of the membership program. Just on it is a nice, really nice flyer. I use this website called 99 Designs to design it. I didn't design it myself. Like the website's really cool, by the way. If you haven't heard of 99 Designs, if you haven't used it, really awesome website. You basically create a contest. People submit their ideas and you pick a winner, right? You can go back and forth, and there's different rounds. There's round one, round two, and then the final round. Um, but I got over 100 designs submitted for a flyer that that ended up, we picked a winner. We printed the flyers. We got them delivered like on the 20th of the month, so towards the end, right? And I had at least one case that I know of so far where I can directly tie a membership sale to having a flyer. It happened last week. Somebody sat in my chair and they had already decided by the time they sat in my chair that they were going to sign up for a membership because they were looking at the flyers we had printed out while they were in the waiting area. He showed up early. I had my first client in the chair, so he was just looking over the flyer and when he sat in my chair, he's like, I think I want to try the annual. So that was another thing. He signed up for an annual membership because we have two. We have a monthly and then we have an annual. So they can prepay for the whole year and get an even bigger discount. So that was like an $800 sale from just putting a flyer in the lobby. So that was cool. So we're gonna try to figure out how to do more things like that. Like how can we influence client behavior by taking advantage of the visual real estate and the fact that like clients like have to be there for at least half an hour, at least an hour in a lot of cases, right? They're in our, at least in our shop, they're in my chair for at least 30 minutes, right? So I'm being a little bit more intentional now about which way I'm pointing the clients, like what's on the mirror? What do I want them to look at while I'm cutting their hair? Depending on what my goals are for that month. So last month we were pushing memberships. So we had a membership flyer on every single mirror in the barbershop, and the clients are pointed towards that flyer in a lot of cases. So they're convincing themselves, they're reading it themselves, why they should sign up for for a membership. I love to do things like that because it makes the barber's job so easy. And if it goes back to what we started talking about earlier, which is this is almost better than training because it's like the barber doesn't even have to have any skill. They don't have to talk about it. They just point them in that direction and let the clients read it, you know? And the flyer, if it's done well enough, will convince the people to buy, right? So David, the argument was that we were part of the problem of inflation because we're charging so much these days. Well, I mean, I actually think that barbershop prices are should be way higher, right? If I'm being honest. I don't I think, I went I had to hire a plumber the other day, and I was no, I didn't even hire him. I just wanted a quote, right? I just wanted a quote for what it would take to get it. I had to pay him $50 just to come to my house and give me a quote. I didn't even buy anything, but it was $50 just for them to come out. So I think that barbering is way undercharging for services. Um, so I think now we're just kind of catching up to the rest of the world, and then people are just like have just been spoiled for the last few years, paying way less than they should have been paying. And honestly, I think it's the barbershop owners and barbers that are just guessing when it comes to price. Like they don't know what they should be charging, so they just guess and they copy the guy down the street. I think that's what's kept barbershop prices low, right? Plus, a lot of people operate illegally, so they don't have their people as W-2 employees. So they don't have to charge as much, right? Because, you know, they don't have the same costs as a business that has employees. So I think a combination of those things has just kind of kept price down longer than it should have. But I think now it's finally like barbers that are finally starting to see like this is what we should be charging based on what my business needs, not what like copying the guy down the street. Like, no, this is what we need to charge just to stay in business, right? So I think that hopefully barbers prices keep going up, but as long as the value keeps going up too, like I don't think that you should just charge $100 for the sake of just charging 100 because that's what some guy on social media said. I think that you should charge $100 if you're charging 50 and you're booked for 3 months out, then go up to 60. And then if you're still booked 3 months out, then go up to 70. It's like supply and demand. For the first, I think there's levels to pricing too. So if level one is just like what most people don't even do, which is do the math to figure out what your business needs for you to pay all your bills, pay your barbers, and then have some profit left over. That's level one. Level two, I think, is where you start to get into psychology pricing. This is things that we've been experimenting with. So having, upsells, downsells, decoy pricing. I talk about this stuff in my barbershop owner mastermind. If you guys want some info on that, just send me a DM on Instagram with the word guide. I'll send you an invite. But yeah, psychology of pricing, I think, is level two. And then level three, I think, is just supply and demand. Like you've got those first things down, you're still crazy busy, and now you can basically charge almost whatever you want, to a point. You actually want to lose clients at that point. And so you raise your price until you get to the point where you have enough clients that you're happy at that point. So I think there's different levels to pricing, but I definitely think that barbers have been charging too little for too long and I'm happy to see that most people are starting to charge more, and I think we all win if that's the case. How many barbers are in my shop? So we have 8 chairs at each location. Our South Side location has 8 barbers, including me, and then our Riverside location has 7 barbers, including me. I don't really count as a full barber though because I only work part-time. I work like 15 hours a week. I usually work Wednesday through Friday from like 2 to 7. So I don't really count myself as a full barber, but I'm actually going to be. we're actually hiring right now. We're looking for a barber, and the next barber that we hire, I'm actually going to probably start sharing my station with at our Southside location because I'm only there part time anyway. So I just see it as a waste, you know. And one of the things that I say that you guys might have heard me say is that an empty chair makes no money, right? So when I'm not there, which is most of the time, that chair is just sitting there empty. And if the shop is busy enough and it can support a new barber on the days that I'm not there, well, then might as well share my station, right? So the next barber that I hire for our Southside location, probably going to be sharing a station with me. So I work Wednesday through Friday. Somebody else can come in there and work Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, right? And if they're not okay with that schedule, then they can find somewhere else to work. But that's what we need at our business, right? Um, do you think membership? Do you think membership is a new wave for barbering? Absolutely. Yeah, if you're not thinking about offering a membership, then I think that you're going to be left behind, right? And one of the things that I kind of pride myself on and my business on is the fact that we're like very early adopters when it comes to a lot of things. A lot of I don't think anybody else in my city is even thinking about memberships. And I believe we're still the only one in our city right for now that offers memberships. And I think that's for a few reasons, because you think you have to have the right business structure to offer a membership. I'm actually going to be making a membership course for my barbershop owner mastermind, walking through exactly how I, set up my membership and the pros, the cons, things to avoid, because I made a lot of mistakes. But basically, you have to have the right structure. Like, I don't know how you can make memberships work if you're a booth rent shop. Like, maybe there's a way to figure it out, but I'm this is going to be a lot more tailored to people that have commission and employee like hourly based shops, right? Because I don't know how you can make that work with booth rent. So first, like if you don't have a booth rent shop, if you have a booth rent shop, I don't know how you can make memberships work. Maybe you can, but that's the first thing, right? And then you have to have a good software. Like a lot of softwares that I see don't like you can't do memberships. Like you have to have an advanced software that's capable of tracking like who's paid their membership this month, how many credits they have, you know, things like that. Because I tried using like Square to do memberships, and Square is great for like accepting payments, but that's where I started to run into limitations as far as like when I wanted to do the membership, things like that. Square just didn't have that option, right? Maybe it does now, but this was like 4 years ago, that I started doing memberships. So those are like the first things, you have to have the right business structure. So either have your people on hourly, a commission, or both. But I don't think you can do memberships with booth rent. And then you got to have the right software. Once you got those two things, like setting up memberships after that is quite simple. I'm going to talk about how I set that up in my with my barbershop owner mastermind. But I absolutely think everybody should be thinking about offering memberships, like 100%. You know, it's like the fastest, not the fastest, it's like the best way to ensure that that client stays loyal, like long term. Like that's why I did it, right? And I didn't anticipate this, but we do and actually like memberships have turned out to be like pretty profitable for our business, but that wasn't the intention. The intention was I just wanted to have something that was going to basically make clients loyal to us like long term. So memberships are great, great at doing that. Like I don't loyalty programs are cool, right? But it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as somebody prepaid for their haircut, right? If somebody prepaid for their haircut, they're gonna come back. Like it's like the most effective way to get somebody to come back is having a membership, right? Loyalty programs can work too. Like if you can't do the membership, then do a loyalty program, do something, right? But we wanted to have something that was like basically going to guarantee that clients came back, and this has done it, right? We've seen our members, our retention, our client retention increase significantly since we started offering memberships. Which if you guys don't track your retention, like for the love of God, please start tracking your retention because it's the most important number in our business. If you can't retain your clients, you can't grow your barbershop. like period, right? Because you're going to have to be very good at marketing, right? And it's the same thing with employees. Like if you can't retain your barbers, then you're going to have to always be looking for new barbers, right? And that's probably one of the biggest factors that affect retention, is your people. If you have good people, your retention will be good. And if you're good at keeping good people, then your retention will be even better, right? So I'm not an expert on employee retention. I think I've just been really lucky the last few years. We've hired really some really good people, and we've been able to keep them around. Um, so those are those. But so memberships are kind of like a more advanced strategy, you know. Like first, you got to get those first few things down. Get your business structure right. Get the right software. Get the right systems in place. Get the right people, and then launch your membership, right? So great question. Yeah, but I think everybody should be thinking about memberships if you meet those criteria that I just talked about, right? If not, then just there's other ways to grow a barbershop without having a membership, right? How much for a taper, fade, and beard trim? So our haircuts. So this is a little controversial, right? But we actually charge the same amount for a beard trim than as we do for a haircut, depending on the type. So, like I was talking about earlier, we have some psychology in our pricing. So, we actually have two different types of haircuts that clients can book with us, and we have three different types of beard trims, right? So, and you guys can go to our website, houseofshaves.com, and you guys can go to my service menu, and you can see how I have it break. Like, none of this stuff is a secret, you know? Like maybe the reasoning behind it isn't like well known, but actually we have our pricing set up for depending on like, and the clients can choose, like, so a haircut's 45. Our classic haircut is 45, right? Now, and then we have a premium haircut, which is 69. And I just made it 69 just to be funny, right? That's like actually our price. Um, and then we have three different beard trims, right? So we have our basic, which doesn't come with the razor, but we clean it up, right? Our classic, which comes with the cleanup, hot towel, straight razor, and then we have our premium, which is 69, right? So if somebody wants a classic haircut, which is 45, and then they want a classic beard trim, it's another 45, so it's 90, right? But if they join the membership, that brings it down to 70, right? So that's one thing that I'm really focusing on this year and really going forward is tailoring my entire business to be like, you might as well have a membership if you're going to come here, right? Because memberships get a members get a huge discount on services. They get a huge discount on products. With our surge pricing that we're testing out, so we charge more for, if we're busy. Members are immune to that, so they don't have to worry about that. And I'm just going to keep doing, I might do members only hours. We're going to start maybe doing members only giveaways. So you only qualify for this if you're a member, we might even I might even just stop taking appointments over the phone unless you're a member, so these things are, I mean, so your question was how much is a basic taper, fade, and beard trim? Um, I don't know what you mean by basic, but a haircut's 45, right? Basic beard trim is 25. We don't do basic haircuts. I considered it, but one thing I'm actually afraid of like the barbers abusing that because some barbers actually feel bad about charging full price. I mean, I don't get it, but we used to do that. We used to charge different prices based on the type of haircut, but then barbers would always downgrade it and give themselves a pay cut because they felt bad, like, oh, I just did the sides, I'm just gonna, no, like you charge based off time, not what you feel like you should. You charge based off what you feel like what your business needs, right? So if that haircut took you 30 minutes, even if you just did the sides, you got to charge for 30 minutes worth of work, you know? And if you finish early, right, then put an ad up, then throw something in there for free. Like this is one of the things that I was just talking to one of my managers about yesterday, because this is actually a pretty common question that comes up. Let me ask you guys this too. Um, do you charge for every little thing that you do for a client, Or do you have like, how do you guys think about that? Like, if somebody, had just booked a haircut with you, but they want a shampoo, do you guys charge extra for that? Or do you just do it, right? Um, I'll tell you what, like I told my manager, but I'm curious what you guys think. What would you guys do if you guys are I guess there's two different scenarios, but scenario one, is you're fully booked, right? So you got back to back, like hardly any time in your schedule. Um, and scenario two would be, okay, you got your schedule's pretty light, right? So you don't have a lot going on. Okay, so Vital Cuts is saying, yes, you do charge extra. I'll tell you what I told my manager is and which is I think this is the ultimate answer to like anything, any scenario really is it depends, right? So if I'm fully booked, right, I have no time and this person wants something extra, then I look at that as opportunity cost, right? If I do this service and it puts me behind and now I'm taking my next guy back late, then I have to charge extra for it. Most of the time, what I'm probably going to do if I'm fully booked is I'm going to say no, right? But this person over here, because we try to work as a team in our shop, this barber over here has time to do it. Um, or I'll just say, sorry, I don't have time, right? Um, and then maybe I'll educate them on how they can book online and then add that on next time, right? But I'm usually not going to do it if it's going to put me behind, right? But so the other scenario would be I'm not that busy, right? So I have time to do this. So in that case, I can either charge extra or I can include it because I'm also big about, over delivering, right? So if if somebody paid me for 30 minutes of time, right, which is what we give our barbers for haircuts, but I finished that haircut in 20 minutes and they want me to like line up their beard, I might just go ahead and do it, right? As long as I can get it done within that original time, but I'll let them know. Here's the key: I let them know, like, hey, I'm not going to charge you for this today, right? But normally this is extra, so that way they don't like it just anticipate it like every time, like, oh yeah, you know, I'm doing you a favor today, but like normally this is extra, you know. So I'm really big about over delivering. So somebody gets it, they paid for this, like they're expecting this, but when they came in, they got all this, right? Because value is the difference between what they paid and what they got, right? And the bigger you can make that difference, the more valuable you become as a barber, right? So you always want to over deliver. So like giving somebody a good haircut within the time is just the basics, right? It's just the minimum, right? So the best businesses, I think, figure out how to go way beyond. How do we exceed their expectations? They expected a good haircut because they read your reviews. They expected that you're going to be taking them back on time and finishing within the time. That is the basics. That's level one. How can we go beyond that is the question I think we need to answer as barbers because they're coming in expecting good things, right? These people do research on you now before they come into the barbershop. They read your reviews, they looked at your social media, they looked at your website, they asked their friends, like so they know about you. They know that they know that you're good, right? So when you come in and you do just the minimum, like you're just meeting their expectations. But if you really want to get them to come back, you want to exceed that and then do it again the next time, right? Because if you set the bar high the first time, but you don't reach that same expectation the next time, well, now you got some inconsistency in the service, right? Which is never a good thing. People like consistency. I think people will take an okay or good haircut every time, um, versus a best haircut they ever got in their life, but it's only one out of every 10 haircuts that they get that, right? People hate inconsistency. The busiest barbers in my shop, the ones that make the most money, they are not always the best in terms of the best, the blurriest fades and the sharpest lines. They are just the most consistent. They never call out. I mean, they call out, but it's not, it's very rare. Like they got to be like dying, right? They work. their schedule. They don't change their schedule all the time. They're there when they're supposed to be there. They're not leaving early, you know. They take notes on their clients and they use the notes when those clients come in so that they get the same haircut every time. And so they're just very the same. You know, they don't have personal drama, in their life that they bring into the barbershop. Like they're very professional at the shop, you know. So if you want to stay busy as a barber, I think that's what works in our shop, at least, you know. So yeah, that's what I would do if somebody wanted to add on like an extra service, and I didn't have the time. It depends on the scenario, but if I'm fully booked, I'm going to say no. I'm going to see if one of the other barbers in the shop can do it. Or if I have time, I might just do it for free, you know, if it doesn't put me behind and if it's within the time they originally scheduled, right? But if they're okay with paying more for it, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, and we're going to definitely add onto the price for that. All right, guys. So, okay, we're past time here. So, you guys have any last questions? If not, then I can let you go. And if you guys don't know, I have a free school group. If you want an invite to that, just comment the word guide on any of one of my Instagram posts or just DM me the word guide and it'll automatically send you an invite to my free group. And if you have a barbershop and you want more help, you want to do calls like this, but one-on-one, you can join my barbershop owner mastermind where I'll work with you to help grow your barbershop. So, all right, cool. So I'm gonna end the call for today, guys. I will see you on the next one. Have a good day.